Then there was a lot of drama when it came to gossip and rumors, and I don't like the way this person looked at like talking. I don't like how they act right here, and nobody was coming to each other trying to figure the issues out, but they were just talking behind each other's backs.
And accusations are strange things, like too, like this person is really in witchcraft. And this person is an agent working for like
the government.
So some of the stuff was just like super outlandish and like okay.
Shalom YouTube family, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the family.
In today's video, we'll be discussing why the gathering of Hebrew Israelites in Tanzania failed. So if you like this type of content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Recently, we just saw a video on Kenganda's YouTube channel, which was an interview with Mark Meets Africa, and he was discussing some of the things that went on with the diaspora in Tanzania. And he touched on the situation with the Hebrew Israelites a little bit in that video. So we wanted to give a little bit of our input on that. And here's the clip.
We have a lot of Hebrew Israelites in Tanzania.
Okay.
I don't know if there's still a lot. I think there is, but because a lot of people left. But at the time, there were so many of us coming, and a lot of them were picking Hebrew Israelite. And they were coming over, and they were getting together. They were loving on each other. They were having barbecues, hanging out, having fun. And then it all stopped. And I suppose there's different stories for why, but I think it was because somebody wanted to be in control of this. Somebody wanted to be in control instead of that person. Somebody had a different idea of what God's name was. And so somebody else, you know, started a different sector of the same thing, and it fell apart.
Now that clip was very interesting, but I do want to comment on one of the things that Mark said so we can get some understanding. Now he said that many people chose Hebrew Israelites when coming to Tanzania, which I don't necessarily agree with, because what we actually know is that it's not a religion being an Israelite, but it's a bloodline. So it's not something that you can choose. It's something that you were born into by blood. So with that being said, let's start with the beginning of our story and how that relates to what he was talking about.
So we obviously came from America. We decided we wanted to come to Africa. We prayed about it. We felt like we were supposed to leave, and we prayed about it, and we got that we should be going to Tanzania. Now, we knew that there were Israelites in Tanzania, just from watching other people's YouTube videos, hearing people's testimonies, things like that. So we knew that when we went, but when we got there, we did not communicate with anyone. We actually did a consultation before leaving with a couple that is Israelites, and we didn't try to meet up with them or anything, but we got in a WhatsApp group before we went. But when we arrived, we stayed for about a month, and we didn't meet anyone. We stayed amongst locals. We didn't see any Americans, anyone that wasn't Tanzanian.
Yeah, we really wanted to immerse ourselves in the culture before going to Americans and asking for help and doing things like that. So we can learn on our own. Yeah,
we kind of wanted to figure out how things are done and just, you know, immerse ourselves in the culture, and that's what we did.
Yeah. So fast forward about a month later, we ended up moving to a different city within Dar es Salaam, which is in Mbezi Beach, where then we went to a phone store, because at the time we had international phones or cellular plans, and it was time for us to get a new SIM card. So we went there and we met an Israelite couple there.
Oh, actually like two couples. So they heard us speaking English, and actually they spotted us. They were like, those are Americans. And so they started talking to us. We talked. They were Israelites. They invited us to their congregation for Shabbat.
Yeah. So we ended up going to their congregation the next Shabbat. And when we got there, it felt really good to be just with other Israelites. We didn't really have that luxury in America.
Like no one close by us in America.
And so just going there, it felt just really great. It was a lot of spiritual things happening, and we all pretty much considered each other to be family at that time. Now, I will say that we didn't agree with all the teachings in that group, but we didn't go in trying to sow discord or had any malice or any issues with somebody because of that. Because how we look at things is iron sharpens iron in the scriptures, and we should be coming together as a group and trying to get clear understanding. So we weren't just going to leave because of that.
Right, and pretty much all of us have come to the understanding of who we are and come out of Christianity. So everybody's still learning, you know, all these things. So when somebody says something we don't agree with, we don't just throw them out.
Right.
You know?
So then I would say probably a few Shabbats in, after we went about three or four times, there started to issues start to arise with the group. And it's particular one family that was having issues with the other families in the group. And financially, they just wasn't in a best situation. So it was causing a lot of stress on their end, which manifested into anger, attitude, and things like that, which we don't like to associate ourselves in drama, right? So pretty soon after that, we decided we weren't going to go to that congregation for the simple fact that it was just too much happening, and it didn't seem like a loving congregation, and like the Most High was having his hand on that, right?
We still like those people, and we had good, but that one family was causing like a lot of drama that we didn't
necessarily agree with, right? And
we didn't really want to be in the drama, right?
So probably I would say a week or two after that, we met like I said previously, we did have a consultation with Israelites. So we ended up meeting that couple and went to their congregation to kind of just, because we wanted to gather. We didn't want to be just separated from anybody. So we ended up going to that one. And it started off, it was great. Once again, we ate together, we prayed together, we read the scriptures together, and we did things as a family. And I would say soon after, probably like a month after, it wasn't even a long time between us, issues start to rise.
Right, I think we went to 2 Shabbats, like 2 weeks, and then after that, stuff was like starting to go down.
Some of those issues were very, very petty. And I'm just naming a few. Some of them were people having doctrine differences, right? Some people think that the feast day is on this day. Some people think the feast days is on this day. You're supposed to keep the Sabbath day is Saturday. Some people think going by the moon. So it was just a lot of differences in doctrine, which caused people to separate, right? Which we said we don't necessarily agree with separating over just doctrinal issues, right? We're supposed to come together and get understanding. And so that was happening. And then there was a lot of drama when it came to gossip and rumors. And I don't like the way this person looked at me, like talking. I don't like how they act right here. And nobody was coming to each other trying to figure the issues out, but they were just talking behind each other's backs.
And accusations are strange things, like too, like this person is really in witchcraft. And this person is an agent working for like
the government.
So some of the stuff was just like super outlandish and like okay.
But it was all just petty things that we see in America, right? A lot of those same issues that we had in America just transferred over. And you have to think a lot of the people that was going there had some type of trauma, that they were escaping or running away from. And like we said in one of our other videos, thinking that they were going to come to Africa and all of their issues were going to be healed and everything was going to be fine, but soon realized that it was much harder than what they expected. So with that being said, it was a separation even with that group. And then it got to the point where the families in that group separated and was calling me like, oh, you should come to our congregation. This is why you should come to our congregation. And then other people called me, okay, this is why you should come. And it got to the point where...
And he was like, this is why we're not going to it.
Right. Yeah, it got to the point where it was just overwhelming. Because it's like, why would I want to do that? Why are we separating over stupid stuff, right? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. And so I didn't want to be a part of any of it because it's like, I don't agree with why y'all separated. This is not of the Most High. The Most High don't ordain things like this. So we're not going to be a part of it whatsoever. And it's during that time, we kind of just started doing things on our own, started keeping the Sabbath on our own, and kind of distance ourselves from the group gatherings. Not necessarily everybody that was there, but just that.
Yeah, because we're still connected with a lot of those people. It's
still
just,
talk to them.
There were certain people that were just, I don't know, just sent to cause drama. I don't know.
Discord with the group.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, one particular situation that happened was there was having like a project that was supposed to bring people together, all of these things, and there was like a meeting and we went, they were talking about everything, and basically I know a lot of people had issue with it, but it was like the families that put it together were like in charge, which makes sense because you found this, you put it together, that makes sense. You put money into it already. And it seemed like a lot of people had issue with, I guess, them being in charge. Like everybody, like the only problems that people were actually saying were problems was the leadership. They wanted to be in leadership. Well, I'm older than you. I should be considered an elder because I have this knowledge or whatever. And it was just petty and it was prideful and
it fell apart.
It fell apart.
Everybody wants to lead, nobody ever wants to follow, and that's the problem.
Right.
Everybody can't be a leader.
Right.
So if you're not willing to play your role in whatever, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna succeed. Everybody got to play their role.
And sometimes the leader leads from behind,
Yeah.
and people don't want to do that. They want to be up front. So obviously, after all of these things transpired, our thoughts on gathering kind of changed, because we were excited about it. We thought it was going to be great, and then it was for a hot second, and then not so much. So now we just kind of feel like gathering would be great if we could, but at this point, we're more so to ourselves. But we did meet a lot of great people that we are so connected to, that we still feel like our family. But there's, I guess, always the bad apples, for lack of a better term, that are going to make things more difficult. But hopefully we can find a way to really come together in the future.
Yeah, and I think overall, just to sum it up, I think the biggest issues that caused the separation would be just pride, the lack of unity, and just not a true love for our people. And I would say before coming to Africa, any country, that we need to deal with those things before coming, because if not, then we're going to have these same issues. So with that being said, families, want to say thank you so much for watching us all the way through, and we love you. As always, shalom.
Shalom.